Hi there, I'm Andrea Koppel, and it's Time for Coffee, the podcast where you get to hear firsthand what the jobs and careers that interest you the most are really like. Hey there, Java junkies. Welcome to another K-Cup mini episode of Time for Coffee. By the way, K-Cups come in 3 sizes, single, double, and triple shots, or roughly 1 minute, 5 minutes, or 10 minutes in length. So if you don't have time to throw back an entire caffeinated career conversation, these K-Cup mini episodes of T4C can give you a quick caffeinated fix, whether you're on the go or you only have a few minutes to binge. So grab your mug and take a chug, because it's time for a caffeinated career single shot K-Cup with my guest, Zach Willette. Zach, I would love to pivot to the other hat you wear as a board certified chaplain and just get, if I could, maybe a quick insight into what inspired you to become a chaplain and take it from there.
That's a really good question. So I grew up in a big family. My mom and dad were foster parents for a whole bunch of kids before I was born. And then also when I was really young. Then we had 4 cousins who lived with us while I was growing up, and 2 refugees from Vietnam that were part of our family. And my parents also speak pretty openly about the grief that they had when not 1, but 2 sets of twins died. One shortly after birth and another were stillborn. So I think I grew up in a household sort of oriented towards helping other people and oriented towards, hey, we got to integrate this grief. People. Grief is all around. It's not going away. Let's engage it. It's another long story, but when I lived in Antarctica, I had a pretty serious spinal injury when I was snowmobiling back from a penguin colony, which I know sounds made up, but it's actually what happened. And that was my own experience before I was a chaplain of bumping into kind of the limitations of my body and the limitations of my even identity at that point. And kind of all those things wove together that when I was looking for how I wanted to make a difference in the world, and people kept mentioning it to me, and I was like brushing it off, but they were persistent, and I was eventually open to the idea. And so I tried it. I did an internship as a hospital chaplain, and I was in a neurology ward. And I've always been fascinated by the human body, and especially the human brain. And that summer, I was hooked. I was like, to get invited into into their lives at these raw moments is such a privilege. And to help reorient them to their own resilience, whether that means using religious language or not. In a conversation, a chaplain in a hospital is never the first person to use religious language. We always follow the lead of the person that we're serving, whether that's a patient or a family member or even a staff member. Reorienting them to their resilience, however they understand it, is just a huge privilege. And I loved every day that I got to do it.
Thanks for tuning in to this K-Cup mini episode of Time for Coffee. If you want to listen to our entire caffeinated career conversation, please check out the show notes for this episode. Thanks so much for listening to Time for Coffee, where the professionals in the jobs that most interest you always have time to grab coffee, 24/7, no matter where you live. I have one quick favor to ask you. Remember to rate, review, and subscribe to Time for Coffee. Thanks so much.